Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast. Well, last weekend did not disappoint. We had the URC quarterfinals. We had the final round of the Prem, so we're going to talk about who's in the semi-finals. We've also had some awards in the meantime. Joining me as always is my lovely co-host Harry. How you getting on, bud?
Yeah, good thanks, mate. It was a good weekend of rugby. Slightly disappointing that, personally for my team, that it was just a bit of a dead rubber game, and then not to get the win was also a bit disappointing. But I'm sort of glad that that part of the season's over. Again, from a bias standpoint, reset, and then now it's just I'm thinking, oh, Lions, and I literally cannot wait to be in Dublin in like 2 weeks to see that game. So
So
very much
jealous.
looking forward to that now.
I'm so jealous. I'm trying my hardest. I'm entering every competition
Oh, I
under the
still am as
sun
well.
just because I really want to go. I've
Yeah.
even had to get my cricket friends involved because there's a new one that's like 4 tickets for the Lions and 4 tickets towards. I was like, cool. If I win, you can have the cricket. If he wins, I'll get the rugby. There we go.
Oh,
Sorted.
that's
But,
clever. Yeah.
shall we start with the Prem? Because as exciting as the games were, everything that should have happened did happen. If you go back to last week's episode, Harry talked about that Leicester needed 1 point, Bears just needed a win, Sale needed 2 points. Yeah, that all happened. Spoiler for for everyone watching that happened in
Yeah.
style.
I think compared to previous years where the final day has been a lot more exciting, like especially when we used to have like relegation in the mix with the league, but obviously it's not really been possible with the current guidelines of the Premiership and English rugby. I think that yeah, there could have been an upset with Chiefs and Sale. Chiefs, I think it's an indication to Chiefs that some of the coaching changes have already made a positive impact because they've been so much better against Quins, like 2-3 last round, and then against Sale last week. So again, Sale, Exeter nearly spoiled the party. Again, Quins nearly got back into the game with Bristol, but ultimately Bristol had a bit too much about them. But it was a very crazy game to officiate as well. So I felt for Luke Pearce trying to manage. I thought that one was a forward pass. No, that one wasn't. No, that was a double move. It looked like hell to referee. So yeah, I think the only thing as well that I know for me, I know why they did it, but like there's another thing that slightly taints that result is the fact that Saints sort of sent a mixed team, shall we say, to Gloucester, who ended up getting the win fairly comfortably in the end. Christian Wade scoring with his last touch of the ball in the Prem for the second time,
Probably.
and getting 2 tries, I think. And then you had, but then you had Bath's absolute academy team play Sarries, and you just thought, okay, I
They
know
ran
why
them
you've
close.
done
They
that.
ran them close as well, though.
It just suggests some of the talent that is coming through in some of the English academies. I know in particular there's a lot of good players coming out of the Queen's Academy who are like doing very, very well. There's quite a few in the Bath. There's quite a few in the Saints. Some of the other ones I'm not seeing as much, but those three are producing some quality players that are breaking through the ranks, and we'll hopefully see more. But yeah, as you say, it was all fairly wrapped up in a ribbon and tied in a bow. Really, it just
Yeah. Not a bad thing though, because sometimes it's what you need. You need the teams to be like, no, no, we're here for this reason.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that I remember months ago when I said that I thought it would be a Bath Bristol final, and obviously now that's not going to be the case. But that's when Bristol were their rugby was really sticking, and then they had their
Yeah.
bit of a wobbly patch. But all in all, I think that the 4 teams that are in the top four, Bath have been by far the best team in the league, like by a country mile.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you've got Leicester, who have been so much better than last year and even had a lot of mid-season improvement. And even with a couple of additions like Radwan and Ollie Hassel-Collins suddenly deciding to play a bit better, like you've got these guys who are actually working quite well, plus the emotional driver that they've got now with their retirees. And then Sale have been, again, they were a bit blunt at the start of the season, but that power game that they could rely on. And then
Mm.
suddenly, again, they got a bit more expansive and created a balanced game. They've been a lot more consistent. Whereas Sarries are in a major rebuild, you would argue. Gloucester are far too inconsistent. Saints have got all the makings of a great team, but they just need reinforcement now that they've lost a couple of guys. And Quins, I think, are just struggling a bit for identity because, again, the talent is all there. And Chiefs just had a very bad year, but you can see that they'll rebuild as well. The only one who I really think has been a bit, and then Falcons, well, they're just struggling, but
They're just there at the moment.
they're just struggling, yeah. And I think that Worcester next year are probably going to come up. I really do because you look at how they're recruiting and you look at the players that they're getting and the revenue that they'll be able to generate. And when really in that league, their biggest competition as a sort of champ watcher, go Chinner. Um, yeah, you just think that maybe next year we'll have more jeopardy. Maybe there will be a
Okay.
playoff with Worcester and Falcons.
Will be tasty. I will say though, the way the semi-finals is played out, coming for this weekend coming, almost perfect. You've got the flair on Friday night. You've got Bath versus Bristol, West Country Derby, and then you've got the physicality of Tigers versus Sale. So it's quite. I feel like that's quite good because then you will get a team that like with the show and go and a power based team in the final. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I, and also, even though we would give advantage to the home-based team, so obviously Bath and Leicester are at home, Sale are Leicester's bogey team. And
Yeah.
if I read a stat when Pat Lam was trying to defend his Bristol and he got a bit cagey about it, he said that when he first joined the club, that the Bristol fans said no matter what you do, you cannot lose to Bath. Like you have to beat Bath. And some
Okay.
people would even say that Bath Bristol is the bigger West Country derby than Bath Gloucester. But it's only been in the last sort of 20, 30 years that Bath Gloucester, because they were far bigger rugby powerhouses than Bristol, they ended up being that. But in the last 14 games that Bath have played Bristol, Bristol have won 14 of them, 11 out of 14. That's a huge stat.
That's
But that's also
massive.
a Bath team that was massively struggling for quite a few years. So,
Yeah.
and then Sale have always been Leicester's bogey team. So it's difficult to say. I mean, if we're going to do predictions, I'm going to say that I think that Bath will go through. I think
Yeah.
they've got too much for Bristol personally. But Leicester Sale, I can't really call. I
Mm.
and
I do have
I
Bath going through,
yeah,
definitely. Um, quite traditional. I quite like the a 1-2 final, but I wouldn't
yeah,
be upset. I wouldn't be upset if Sale Sharks did it. They've got some really good players. They've got a powerful pack. They've got Tom Robert. They've got Joe Carpenter. They've got
George
uh,
Ford.
Massey White that's carving up in centres.
Oh, he has been brilliant. He has added such what what they've been missing really since Manu left. Naya Levu didn't really work as I
Mm.
predicted. I knew it would happen. Nothing against him. I just didn't think it was going to work. I think any other team in the Prem it might have done. Maybe not any. I digress. Um, and yeah, Marcy White has just added so much balance to that midfield, and they've got they've got probably one of the most ridiculous players in the sense of Rob Dupree, who just never is injured and never not plays. I saw something ludicrous about how many games I think he's played every single game this season, and he's played 80 minutes almost every single time. Like
Oh,
that's
I think I
mad.
know the stat. It's like I could get the
It's
number wrong, but it's like 73 consecutive starts for Sale Sharks. I'm
it's
like, sorry, what?
it's something daft, and it's been at 10, 12, or 13.
Yeah,
Like it's
he
been
is Mr.
mental.
Consistent. I've never seen him have a bad game.
No, I don't think I have. It seems like for Rob Dupree, I mean, slightly going off on a tangent, but it seems such a shame for Rob Dupree to be that good for that long and not get a sniff of a Springboks recall. But I suppose with like the talent that they've got with Andre Pollard and Sasha Feinberg Mngomezulu, who are probably the two out and outs, and then Manny Libok, who's like sort of a favourite that they like having because yes, he's a very talented player. Yeah, his kicking a goal leaves a lot to be desired. But you think someone like Rob De Perea, his versatility as well. They love their 6-2 or their 7-1. Rob De Perea can play 10, 12, 13. Like
Yeah, so he's perfect for that
he's
23
perfect
guy.
for that sort of a system, yeah. And then if they do the thing where they have Cheslin Colby as the backup nine, they could have yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway, that's a slightly.
made a
But
good point. No, I mean, looking into Friday night first, Bath versus Bristol. And it's going to be a high scoring affair, I predict. Both
yeah,
teams,
I would say
both teams aren't exactly like convivial or
no. I mean, Bath are definitely the more like conservative of the two, but I mean
yeah,
that sort
yeah,
of helps when you have in more ways than one Bath, the more conservative way of the two. Uh, but I think Bath have got a more varied game. They've
yeah.
got a better style. No, not better style of play. They have a more diverse style of play, and they've got a better style of play in a knockout game. Whereas Bristol have the one way, and it's actually something that I've said to you before about in regards to like England call ups for a lot of the Bristol players. I
Mhm.
believe that there are a lot of talented Bristol players who could slash should play for England. Joe Batley 100% deserves a chance to go. But
Mm.
I think one of the reasons why a lot of Bristol players don't get called up for England is because they're viewed as limited, simply
Yeah.
because they can play one way, the Bristol way. Whereas you get guys at other teams, even the more attacking teams in Saints and Quins, who can mix
Mhm.
it up and play more attritional or more game management. And that's why I think that, yeah, there'll be tries because I think that Bristol will get to the edge, they'll score. I just think that the Bath power game and the fact that they can mix it up better than Bristol. Like we
Mm.
saw how Bristol tried to go more conservative against Sale and were terrible. But then as soon as they started playing their way, they started scoring tries.
I don't like saying it like this because I used to say it when you boys did it at Quins, but I call it fuck it rugby.
Yeah, no, it is. You score one, we'll score two.
But even just like even if it's still 0-0, it'll just be crossfield
Nah,
kick, 3 minutes in. Why? Because we can. Who
yeah,
cares?
I think
It's
especially
almost
especially
Bears for I don't know if you could call it international. Bears players would be perfect to be barbarians.
yeah, they would be like some of them would just be yeah.
I don't know if I feel like that makes sense in my head, but do you know what I mean? Like
No, yeah,
a
no, they
barbarian game, you don't know what's happening. Anything's possible. You get the second rows doing outlandish stuff with the ball. You get back rows doing crossfield kicks and chip and chase and all that. Bristol would happily just sort of, yeah, cool, we can do that.
yeah, I do think that they are like a barbarians team week in, week out, but it's a funny one. I can just, do you know what? Especially, I can think of one scenario in my head. Gabriel Ivatoye with a silly offload, Max Ajomo intercepts, runs and scores under the posts to make it a two-score game, and at 60, no, at 72 minutes, and all of a sudden, and that's what I mean. That's why I think that Bristol take too many risks, and I think we love seeing entertaining rugby. Like Saints take risks, Quins take risks. Who else is an attacking team?
You know what's,
Gloucester.
you know what's
Gloucester.
ironic?
Yeah.
The fact that Bath have the most creative 10. Could you imagine Finner or Bristol just on creativity alone?
Ooh, God, I'm terrified. But I mean, but that's the thing about what makes Finn and Ben Spencer a great partnership. Ben Spencer can go more um attritional, set piece focus, box kick, manage the stakes. But then you've got dictating play, kind of like a French nine in a way. And then you've
Mm.
got Finn who just can go, right, okay, I see the space in the backfield. Dupe, there we go. Go on, team, go have a line out, power game. But he can also chuck that miss pass. He can also put the ball through the eye of a needle. He can conjure up some magic. And I think that's where you want to see a magical 10 play behind a dominant pack because it
Yeah, of
gives
course.
them the license to do that. Like you think of Quade Cooper and King Carlos back in the day. Like they want to they can do all the skills in the world. They just need someone to give them the platform.
Yeah,
And that's what Finn does at Bath. Because Bath are they always were an expansive team. It's only since Van Graam's coming in and sort of tightened the belt a bit that they've got more power based. But they're still
correct.
the Bath of old because they've scored more points than anyone. They can chuck the ball out wide if they want. And they're only going to add to that when they add. I mean, can you imagine Finn Russell and Santi Carreras next year playing in tandem?
Not even fair.
I don't
No.
want I don't want to. It's
But
terrifying.
Ben Russell, Sonny Carreras, Harry Arundel.
Oh, Henry, yeah.
Henry
Although,
Arundel, sorry, not Harry. You're
yeah,
Harry.
I am Harry.
I got too excited. Harry's signed for a Bath. No, he's not.
I would not do that to Harlequins. I would not
But
do that to Quins.
yeah, just unreal talent on show for both teams. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Bristol. Like Ellis Gens versus Will Stewart,
Oh,
two
Lions,
Lions props
Lions.
clashing.
I mean, Tom Dunn against who?
You go, okay.
Gabriel O'Grey. Yeah, two guys, two guys who could play for England. And then the loose heads. Who even plays? Beno Urbano against
Go on, who's the tight head for Bristol?
George Kloska. There we go. He probably
There
will
we go.
play. Or Max Lahey. Like, geez. I mean, we just said a scrum is tasty. Wow, look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
Who would have
I
thought?
mean, let's take it to the back. So you've got
Oh
you're
God,
talking the Singer versus Gabriel Ibitoye. You've got Will Muir versus potentially Revovo. But even
oh God, that aerial battle.
depends. Well, it depends on where you put Revovo because you've then got Revovo potentially against Max and Jomo. You've got
Oh,
maybe Will Butt
Bernard
versus
Yancey, Van
yeah.
Rensburg, James Williams, Harry Randall, Ben Spencer, AJ McGinty, and Russell. It is ridiculous. I mean, we're giving so much time to this Bristol Bath game. We're not even talking about like I'm going to just quickly jump to Leicester Sale, Andre Pollard and George Ford,
Yeah.
Dan Cole going against Bevan Rod or Joe Hayes on Bevan Rod,
Yes,
and then
yes,
you've got
yes.
Kurt. Oh, but Luke Cowan-Sickie against Julian Montoya.
Oh,
Oh, that's horrible.
Joe
I mean,
Carpenter versus Freddie Stewart.
oh,
Tom
good luck.
Rock versus Ollie Hassel Collins.
Radwan against. Oh, Radwan against who? Who would
Aaron
be
Reed. Aaron Reed.
Reed? Yeah,
Oh
Aaron
my God.
Reed. Oh my God! The Islander on Islander crime in Maasi White and Solomoni Kata. Oh no!
See, we are spoiled for choice.
These are going to be some cracking semi-finals.
Yeah.
They
On the
really are.
spot. On the spot, who you got going? Who's going to Twickenham?
Bath Sale.
Bath Sale. I'll go Bath Tigers just to be different, but I wouldn't be upset
Oh,
with.
the purists would love a Bath Tigers just because, for me, they are the two biggest clubs in England.
Yeah, fair.
I know that you have got like salaries of the past few years that have got up there, Wasps as well, Saints and Quins. The two biggest by far are just they are Tigers and Bath. If Bath win this title, I think that takes them to like second on the titles because I think Bath, Saris, and Wasps all had slash have six. So if they get that seventh, they then chasing down Leicester's 13.
And it's ridiculous. But it would also just seal up the perfect season for Bath on the treble.
No, it's not the treble.
I
The
know
treble
it's
would be
not the
Champions
treble,
Cup.
but
Or
still,
a trio, as I've always said on this channel,
you
a
still call it
trio
a
of
trio.
trophies. It has to be a trio. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Like just before we move on to the URC, because we're sticking with the Prem. The awards were last night. We are recording on the Wednesday because we're doing more of a preview than a review episode
Mm.
this week. Henry Pollock getting breakthrough player of the year. I'm stunned. Who
Oh,
else was it going
wow.
to
Who
be?
would have thought? No, honestly, fair play to Mr. Pollock. He's had a brilliant year.
He's unreal. He's absolutely unreal. Check the pulse. He did win it. Yes, he did.
Check the
There
box.
we go.
Yeah, it was a slam dunk.
Slam dunk. Hey,
Calm
Johan
down,
Van
everyone.
Calm
We're
down,
mowing
calm
the
down.
lawn.
That was Freeman, but still,
I
he won an
know,
award.
but mowing the lawn.
Freeman got, was it England, like,
He
international
was,
player of the year.
yeah, he was England Player of the Year, just because I think that he's been. I think we always knew he'd be good for England, but
He
when
has
Man,
been
he's been
exceptional.
exceptional. Like Manny was getting a lot of the plaudits. Freeman, I think, was under like competition from guys like Murley and a couple of others for a bit, but was brilliant. Like even stepped in at 13 in an international game at the Principality. Yes, in a struggling Wales team, but like you
Still,
play you that's still mad thing. You're 24. Yeah, go play at the Principality. Oh yeah, not in your normal position. I know you can play 13, but go do that.
yeah,
Thrived. But yeah,
true.
I mean Thomas
Um,
Williams picking up Player of the Year.
yes. So I said this back in, must have been before Christmas on TikTok. I said Thomas Williams is the signing of the season. And everyone
Yeah.
got a bit early. I'm like, it's not. You can see what he's doing. Like Gloucester, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. Gloucester were crap.
Oh, they
Gloucester,
were awful.
Gloucester were not. They had good players, but
Yeah.
it was not working. Thomas Williams comes in, and I'm sitting. Even when it got announced, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about that because Thomas Williams is great. I love watching Thomas Williams, and
Oh,
I'm
he's
like, I
fantastic.
don't know if Gloucester's your fit. Oh, it is 100%.
It
Cherry and
is
white says
now.
your cherry and
It
white says your color. Run with it.
it is now. I mean, again, Gloucester were always one of the attritional teams in the league, and then now that they have just sort of went, screw it, we're gonna just chuck the ball around. I think next year they'll pull it back a bit. I think they still will chuck. I think they might go a bit more to that. Right, we're gonna find. We've gone really extreme this year. Let's pull it back a bit and
Yeah.
find that balance. And I think that they'll be very dangerous next year. But yeah, Thomas Williams is a major part of
Player
that.
of the season, British
Yeah,
Lion.
and what head coach of the year, director of rugby of the year, Johan van Graam. Obviously, he's won two
Obviously.
trophies. He's finished top of the league. He wrapped that up easily. Yeah, he's but I actually okay. Here's something that I will say. If the Springboks are wanting another South African head coach who has got pedigree, has coached in Munster, Johan van Graam. Johan van Graam for me is somebody who I think South Africans should be looking as a potential head coach one day.
They, they should, but I'm being very selfish right now and say no because I would love him as Scotland head coach. I would love it.
Really?
It kind of
Not
dawned on
not
me.
not Franco Smith?
I would say yes to Franco Smith, but like if we're having some value, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. You need
Okay,
to look
all
at
right.
other options. I think my top three for the Scotland job, not
Mm,
necessarily working in Scotland, because obviously if Franco Smith was to go to Scotland, Glasgow would need a new head coach. If Sean Everett leaves, Edinburgh would need a new coach. But purely as Scotland national team's head coach, in no particular order, I would have Johan van Graan, Franco Smith, and I'm still got Leon McDonald in that shortlist because no one's touched him. And I'm thinking like, is he already got a job lined up and it's very hush hush, or is just nobody? Is he? You
well, less
know what I
before
mean?
Leicester got Parling, they were very interested in him. But I think Leon McDonald is also he might have a Super Rugby job.
He's an advisor. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have Leon McDonald at Quins. We love bringing a Kiwi over and
There we
doing
go.
well. I think have him work with Nick Evans if Danny Wilson decides to move on with Wales. Yeah, Leon McDonald.
Yeah.
I think that would be yeah. Go on, lad. Live in London.
It's a big name that no one's talking about. So I'm like,
Yeah, it's very under the radar at the minute. But yeah,
so yeah, there's my official top three for the Scotland job. If Townsend was to go now, I
when his
don't even know
contract is up. Yeah.
even if his contract's up and they go, oh by the way, after the 2026 Six Nations, Johan van Grant's going to be Scotland coach. Cool, awesome,
That would not be bad. But yeah, he's definitely someone I think's got any international team should look at really. But
absolutely.
so yeah, I think those are all the awards. Moving on to the
Oh,
URC.
Ellis
Oh,
Gaines got
community
the
player of yes,
Player of the Year,
excellent.
yeah. But
Amazing man. What he does for like outreach in Bristol. campaigning for like more state schools to play rugby because not just because it's like, oh, we need to find the untouched gems who aren't in the private schools. It just rugby gives so much to kids, and I think if you can get, if you, especially if you can go to those places where you live in a bit, where it's a bit rough, it's not great, the area, and you need some structure and discipline and to get some hard work in your life. Even if you never become a rugby player, play rugby. It will help you. And I think Ellis
Well,
Genge is such an amazing person for being able to champion that, and he absolutely deserves that community player of the year because
I agree.
it's yeah.
I love Ellis Genge, but yeah, well done
Oh,
to every
brilliant,
player that
brilliant
won an
man.
award. Like you said though, URC one round ahead technically because we have a quarter final. We
Yeah,
don't we don't have just semi-finals. But my God, did they not disappoint? And honestly, the way we actually done it last week, we were right. Glasgow Warriors beat the Stormers again. Stormers did not show up.
no, that was a very, very poor performance from them. I remember watching it, like trying to watch it whilst I was at work, like sneaking a look at it and just seeing the patterns of play that Glasgow were putting. Tom Jordan and Sione McTui Pilotu, my God, those two just, oh, they were men possessed. I mean, I know I have said this quite a few times that I don't overly want Tom Jordan to be on the short list. I did not want Tom Jordan to be selected for the Lions simply because of the he's only just qualified on residency as opposed to all the other residency players or mixed heritage players that are playing for the Lions. But my God, is he saying, yeah, pick me if there's an injury, please. Because he's been brilliant, and I can't deny it. He's a fantastic player. And the fact that he is going to Bristol next year, the fact that he is going to Bristol next year, and you think
Fine.
that you could have like a mid, like you could have AJ McGinty, Tom Jordan, Bernard, Yancey van Rensburg, and Rafufi. No,
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, thanks. I don't want to play that. That's
So
terrible.
they're
Or
back. Let's just put this out there. Their back line next year could go Harry Randall, AJ McGinty, Tom Jordan, Bernard Jansen van Rensburg, Gabriel Ibatoye, Calavete Revovo, and Max Malins a fullback.
no, Max Malins is going to Sarries.
Oh, he's not. He's left by Bristol. Sorry. That's
Actually,
on me.
okay, let's put Tom Jordan at fullback and James Williams, who's a brilliant 12,
Yeah,
at 12, and
there
you're
you
like,
go.
that is a filthy backline.
I forgot.
Filth.
I forgot Bristol had Max Malins and he was going back to Sarries. That's my mistake. Sorry.
They've definitely missed him this year. I think. I mean, Rich Lane at the fullback. I mean, they've got some good players at
Yeah.
Bristol. They have. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Glasgow.
Glasgow were just, as we said, we thought that they would be a lot better. They've had their wobble. Glasgow have had their wobble now, and now that they're
Yeah.
really like we're
You
putting
see
the
that.
foot down,
Mhm.
and they are marching on, and
You know
yeah.
who's guaranteed to start for Scotland this summer? My guy Kyle Rowe. Two
Oh,
tries.
oh yeah.
What on earth? I mean, I did not realise until I went on the socials after that Kyle Rowe and Sione Tuipulotu just accidentally recreated the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade picture of the. It's like it's an iconic
Accidentally.
accidentally, but yeah, Kyle Rowe was everywhere. Two tries for him. Probably should have been a third, but he's not greedy and gave it to George Horn. So,
Yeah. Kyle Stain was brilliant as well. The
oh,
forward pack were great. I mean, Henko Venter was excellent.
Hegel Venner got his swan song. By the way, for a man, I said it on another podcast that I do. I said, for someone that's only been at Glasgow 2, 3 seasons, and to get an ovation like that when he was coming off, and for the Glasgow faithful to sing "We love you, Henko," we do. Oh,
Oh,
we love you. For a man that's been there just shy of 3 seasons,
that
if
yeah.
awesome, love that,
It,
and yeah, what a warrior. Pardon, pardon.
it's definitely impressive. I mean, did Sebastian Cancelleri play as well? Did he get off the bench, or am I
No,
making that up?
no, he didn't even play. He was in jeans and a hoodie. He didn't get his swan
Nah,
song. He didn't get
that's
his
a
swan
shame.
song, which was gutting. Tom Jordan, which that was his swan song as well.
Yeah, Tom Jordan's last home game at Scotstoun, and he puts in that performance. Very impressive. But anyway, that was kind of what we thought was going to happen.
I don't
Moving
want to
on
talk about.
to another Scottish team.
No, I don't want to. Nah, you know what?
Should I lead and you can
I'll
interject?
let you. I'll let you lead because I'm too emotionally charged on this
Okay,
one.
so Edinburgh Bulls. I We even said this that we could not call it. And even though a lot of publications and a lot of stats and a lot of percentages and a lot of bets and odds and what have you had Bulls winning fairly comfortably, I was really impressed with Edinburgh. I thought that they had plenty of physicality. They were moving the ball around. They were asking questions of Bulls. They were forcing Bulls into a lot of mistakes and a lot of yellow cards. And they did excellent to get up to maybe I think it was 21-8, and you thought, my word, are they going to do this? But then,
Yeah,
and I'm going to factor this in, I think the Bulls started getting a bit of momentum at the scrum, and then altitude kicked in. I think like from every former player that you hear, altitude always kicks in, not at the start when you think you're fine, but
yeah.
always in that like 40 to 60-minute mark where suddenly your ass is
Well,
hanging out, your
I,
lungs are hanging out your ass, and you just can't really get any focus. Because then Edinburgh came back in again after that. They had like a
the
second
bit, yeah.
wing, but it was just, yeah, I think,
The bit I've never understood the altitude thing. I've always known about it because we watch enough rugby, but I've never fully grasped it until the
yeah,
commentary team said, and I think they just used this reference because it was against a Scottish team. They're like,
yeah,
just for like reference point, the Bulls are currently playing on the equivalent at the top of Ben Nevis.
yeah,
And
which
I'm
is
saying
about
like,
1,500 meters.
I'm just kind of sat there like, shit. Yeah, like, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever gone hiking in any mountains or like, and you've tried to run when you're at elevation, which I have done. I mean, I was a lot younger, but even then, I was sort of like mucking around running at elevation, and you felt it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's weird. I can usually do that better. But yeah, I think Edinburgh in a season where a lot of people look at them and think you should be doing better. They're back in the Champions Cup for the first time in quite a while, I have to say.
2022. 2022 was the last time I did it, yeah.
So 3 seasons you've not been in the
Three full
Champions Cup,
seasons.
and now you're back in. You've got a lot of your key guys. You've got some guys leaving. You've got some good players coming in. I think Edinburgh can be proud of the effort that they had to get to that position, and unfortunately, they they lost based on momentum. I think is the
Yeah.
the fairest way to say it.
The one big thing that's kind of an issue and that it will need to be addressed. The Bulls scored 31 unanswered points.
Yeah, and that's happened a bit too often for Edinburgh this season.
There's been a few too many times where I'm okay if a team scores. Okay? It's not the end of the world, especially when you've got control of the game. It's when you start just letting it slip away.
It's when you give a mountain to climb, yeah, which I think Edinburgh did. I mean, 31 is four converted tries and a penalty, which I think is what they scored. But they got back in, and I think Edinburgh scored 6 tries as well. But I think it was just missed kicks and penalties that made it that the ball stayed ahead. But yeah, I think they can be proud of their efforts. They've got a great framework to go
Well,
on.
we will be better from it for sure.
Yeah,
I
I
like
believe that you need a bit of heartache before you actually are able to go and do something. So who knows? I think Edinburgh will be better all for it next year. I mean, there's a couple of big guys leaving, like Richie, Cherry, Sebastian, Boffelli, but I think there's enough players that are coming in. Having Ashman and Richardson, two hookers, very good.
yeah, Howard
Both
Richardson.
Scotland quality. So I
It'll be
think that
interesting for sure.
yeah, I think it will be. It just shows that I think Edinburgh have got a lot for next season, especially when you think about some of the young back rowers that are coming through as well, with
Yeah,
the
sure.
experience of a Hamish Watson as well. So all in all, I think Edinburgh can be proud. The Bulls, I think, I mean, the Bulls have been there or thereabout every single season for quite a while. They've got a quality
Yeah.
squad with a lot of underrated Springbok players, in my opinion, as well. We had Wilco Low at Harlequins for a couple of years, and he's an absolute bedrock of a tight head. 145 kilos,
An absolute
monster
monster, man.
scrummager. And yeah, maybe he's not necessarily the most dynamic of props, but if he's carrying, he's putting holes in, and his post contact meters, I think, are great. And I think it's something that the Bulls need to have a look at themselves as well, because there's been a few too many times that they've not quite had the control that they have needed.
Mm.
And yeah, I think they'll be looking at, right, we've got back into the game. That's good. They're going to be at home in the next round. That's good. They just potentially, they just need to get a bit more control, I think, for the next round, because the team that they're about to play, they've
Well,
already beaten them twice this year.
we'll get into that because we have got one more quarterfinal. And I don't want to say it was the most predictable or the most boring,
I would
but
argue that it was not the most predictable, simply based on how well the Scarlets played against Leinster.
true, yeah, but
I think that they did so much right in that game, and Dwayne
what
Peel has massively turned them around this year. Because my word, they were awful for a long time. They just were not particularly good, despite the
they're
fact of having loads of quality Welsh players. Like you think,
yeah,
not Tame Basham, Tame Plumtree. They've got Blair Murray, who's been an added. Ellis Mees come into the team. You've got Gareth Davis. You've got Sam Costello, Via Fafita, who's just should have been the All Black Six for you. Should still be the All Black Six, really. But
I'm
anyway,
not mad, but I get what you mean.
yeah.
There's one actually for you. Why the hell is Dwayne Peel not the Welsh coach?
I
Genuinely.
That's a good question. I would argue because Scarlets have been underperforming for a long time and only have just turned it around now. I don't think he's got the necessary credit in the bank to go and be a head coach of a country when his team have been struggling for a number of years. Like if you think about when you think Scarlets and head coach, international quality coach, who do you think? Simon Easterby.
Mm.
So Simon Easterby, I think, has got way more credit in the bank to be the Welsh head coach than Dwayne Peel. I think Steve Tandy has got more credit in the bank to be a Welsh head coach than Dwayne Peel. But I want to give him credit because he's massively turned that team around. And Leinster, have they lost their aura? Are they not this big invincible machine anymore? Because there are some.
They haven't been the big invincible machine for years, though. I don't know where this comes from.
No, what I mean is that yes, they've sort of choked the big moments, but even leading up to it, you always think, oh, Leinster, they'll be fine. They'll get there. They'll always be there. Oh, they've got such quality. I think they're losing their fear factor slightly because
I think it's
it should
because
not
of
have
how
been that close. It should not have been that
no.
close.
The one thing that shot Scarlets in the foot was the yellow cards in the second half, and they were right decisions. They were the yellow cards.
What were the two decisions again? Just to jog my memory.
There was a high shot, and
Uh,
Alec Hepburn got yellow carded for. I think it was just infringement, just continuous infringement. I could
so
be
it
wrong.
was penalty warning. He had a high shot, and they were like, "Right, we have to yellow card that for high shot, and also because you've had warnings of penalty."
No,
He
they're two different
Oh,
yellow
were they
cards.
different? Okay. Actually,
Two
that's one
different.
thing. Alec Hepburn I think he's gone off for a high shot related card. I genuinely think I've seen about four from him this year, two of them being reds and then two of them being yellow. So maybe that's why he doesn't get into the Scotland side because his discipline with tackling is very poor, despite,
Yeah.
so that's one factor. I mean,
I will say though, for Leinster, the Lions, not all of them, because there's a lot of them, but Jack Conan, who doesn't really ever have a bad game, Jameson
no.
Park was fantastic. They were my two standouts, and I thought James Lowe played his role very well.
Yeah. Did Van der Fleer go off injured?
Yes, which is,
That could be a worry.
and again, and I don't like saying the same names because we did it a few weeks ago when Tom Curry went off. You're probably thinking Jamie Ritchie and Roy Darge are just like,
Yeah, they might be thinking. Well, I think Jamie Ritchie maybe more so. I think Rory Darge is focused on next week,
probably more
really.
focused. Yeah, but Rory Darge has just put in a man of the match performance.
Yeah, he's very I think he's very unlucky. I still think he's unlucky to not get the Lions call up, but when you think about because recency bias does factor into the Lions to a certain extent when you again just slightly divergent when you think about the players that stood out in front of Rory Darge that like you think Jack Morgan in a struggling Wales team, Jesus Christ, you're unbelievable. You think Tom Curry was nearly player of the tournament in the Six Nations. You think Van der Fleer positive impacts on a game. It's like a minute between each one, and think, ah, yeah, and you didn't have the best Six Nations. Yeah, okay, I can see why you've not been picked. But he's definitely. I do think that a lot of the, like what I said about Tom Jordan, there are a lot of Scotland players who, if someone goes down, they are probably one of the first to the where they
Yeah.
go. Yeah, well, and you can imagine with John DL being there, like Andy Farrell. Oh, I've lost a flanker. Who do I need? And then John DL. I got someone for you, big man. Rory Darge.
Rory Darge.
I got someone for you, big man.
Darge.
Rory Darge. But yeah,
um,
I think fair play to Scarlets. I think they gave a good account of themselves
they did.
because I think a lot of people thought they'd be embarrassed, and they are anything but that.
No, I don't think they're ever going to be embarrassed, but I just thought and again, I don't know why we fall onto this one because they haven't won anything in like 5 years. But I always go through predictions like, oh, it's Leinster, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll be there or thereabout. It would just be who they face that might be indicative of it. But
But
yeah,
oh, by the
moving
way,
on to
when we said it's going to be the game of the weekend and it's too close to call, didn't
oh
realize we hit
yeah,
it around, didn't realize we hit it around the head with that one.
I don't think
Sharp
I.
monster.
Oh my lord.
For all, after full time, we run it to extra time, it remains the same. And for the first time ever in the URC, we went to penalties and what's knockout rugby without some controversy.
Oh my giddy yard. Yeah, it's
Might I add, none of this controversy happened until we got to penalties.
yeah.
Nothing happened during the game that was obviously the game itself was great. Munster had a very nice lead and Sharks brought it back and just hammered it in, and then both teams were just going hell for leather. Connor Murray with a hell of a nudge to keep Munster in it
Oh
near
my
the end.
word. Yeah. Was
Great
it?
effort,
It was a
but
drop goal, wasn't it, or was it
not just
penalty?
a very just a long range penalty. So
Yeah, I
you
didn't realize he was that
never really
good at.
see never really see Connor Murray kick, and when he does, you're like, oh wow.
That's oof, well done. Yeah, I think there were times when I thought the game was a bit okay, but as you said, it was still a great game. Like I'll give praise one thing. Munster's short kicking game is so good. Like they've got such a balance in the sense of they've got guys who are left-footed that they will get onto that left edge of the pitch and slot that kick through for someone to chase. And then they've got again on the right side, they've got an excellent short kicking game, and I think that led to two of their tries, which
Mm.
is which is so impressive. But yeah, no controversy in the game. I mean, it's like what I said that a lot of I think Sharks, and here's something controversial, and I'm slightly contradicting what I said. I said that Sharks are the team that you want if you want to win a knockout game of rugby, simply based on the personnel that they employ. But like when Sia and Vinnie Cock and Ombanambi and Etzebeth all started to go off and these other guys came on, they got better.
Mm.
Sharks actually got better. And you think that's scary if you think that they've got the quality of the Springboks playing at the start to then have these quality players come on and reinforce them. It's terrifying. But moving on to the thing that everyone wants us to speak about, what are we going to call this? We've got to call it something. Kickgate, wink, winkgate,
Like,
winkgate.
yeah,
There we go. if it's not already called that. I'm sorry if I've nicked that and claimed it as my. But Winkgate, and it has caused some division online, and rightfully so, because it is a controversial incident.
That's the least controversial thing about the penalties, though, was the wank. The coaching staff
Oh,
getting on, coming on the field and Jack
oh,
Crowley
unacceptable.
verbally.
Unacceptable. That's the thing for me that I love. The thing about the wink is it's a bit of housery. It's
Yeah,
brilliant. But
love it.
Jaden Hendricks and Jack Crowley were saying stuff to each other
And they were
the
back and
whole
forth the
time.
whole penalty, yeah.
Like, oh, you're gonna get this? Like, yeah, of course I am. Like, oh, you shanked that last one. Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it. Like, they were going at each other, and they
Even
didn't care. The thing that is actually, and the fact that he's on the floor and he winks at him like, haha, yeah, I got cramp, mate. I think he might have had cramp. He might have actually had cramp.
no, there's pictures of it. Like the
Yeah,
cap is like well and truly
it's like,
seen. Yeah,
yeah, he's got cramp. He's just winking at him to go, ah, yeah, take that, man. And Crowley's
taking it.
probably
Yeah.
looking at him like, oh, you right, little whatever. But the thing
But
for me that I find so unacceptable about the situation, the housery is great. The attention that it's got to the game is great because there's all this jeopardy. For me, the thing that I find totally unacceptable is the fact that the whole coaching team suddenly went onto the pitch and then they started saying things to Jack Crowley. They started like doing
yeah,
little nitpicky things. And I'm sorry, the referee and the TMO should have done a better job of saying, no, right, no, none of this. Okay, coaches, off you go. You do not belong on this field right now because he is trying to take his kick. Get off. No, physio, please move him. He's got cramp. He's not dying. Move him to the side so Crowley can take his kick properly. Even though Jack landed it, if Jack didn't land that kick, I think we'd be even in more hot water. And I think Munster fans would have a bigger reason to be upset, personally, if Jack
you know
had
what I
missed this
love?
kick. But my God, it was a farce from the refereeing team to not deal with that situation better. And I'm not going to like bash him entirely for that because I think the TMO should have stepped in as well. But like, if you had a Luke Pearce or you had a Matthew Carley or a Carl Dixon or an Andy Brace or even a Paul Williams or a Ben O'Keefe, they're telling them to move. They're saying,
Yeah.
no, you get off. Matthew Reynal, when he was refereeing, would also. We remember when the water boy came on and said to him, like, oh,
Oh, that was a high cut.
blue
Yeah,
high
yeah.
tackle. And it's like, no. You don't get to say this to me. He does not come back on the pitch. Like, you think about all these other referees who would have had control in that situation and said, no. All you
Oh, he goes.
coaches, get off. Get off, move him so he can take his kick properly.
You know
And
what I actually thought was quite more like, yeah, go on. And I actually thought they would just let him do it. But I obviously not for safety reasons would not allow him. Hendricks went down and Jack Crowley's still lining up this kick. Like, I'll kick it. I don't care.
oh yeah, he doesn't care at all. Like fair play to him. Like he was like, nah, go away, shut up. I'm gonna
The
kick this.
biggest the big issue that another issue I had, sorry. Not just the coaching team coming on, giving Crowley a mouthful. The Sharks players that are not kicking, standing at the side,
Shouting.
trying to put Rory Scannell off his kick as
And
well.
he missed one, didn't he?
He missed one as well. But like he got the longer kick in and you could just see him look at him like, really? Really? But you know what? That is what it is. It's gonna
Yeah, and
there's a double standard I've learned about um shithousery. And it
yeah.
obviously it does come down to is it for you or is it
Or is it
against you?
against you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, and the example I will use, and it's only because I've seen it online, Munster fans are up in arms that Jane Hendricks have winked at Jack Crowley.
which is
Yeah,
not really the problem.
which, okay, cool, big whoop. In all sense, big whoop. He winked.
Yeah,
It's nothing. It's not like
no.
he like. It's not like he flipped on the border. That would actually been outlandish.
Yeah,
But but Peter O'Mahony, Munster legend, grabbing Sam Kane and calling him a shit Richie McCaw.
Yeah,
Oh,
Peter. Yeah, no, that's fine.
yeah. How's it
That's with
different?
Ireland. That doesn't count. Uh,
But
I,
no, but how? I
I'm
don't see how it matters because it's the same with like.
Munster are a team renowned for housery, but then historically they always hated playing Glasgow because they were even more housery than they were, and it just rubbed them the wrong way. We're probably going to upset Munster fans here by saying some of this, but
I'm not trying to upset anyone,
but we're
but
not. But we're being honest. We're like unbiased fans. We're
yeah, it's
Quins,
like
Chiefs, and
okay.
Edinburgh. We
Here's another example then, right? Gilles Montoya is a classic shit talker. Whether it
Oh
comes to
my
Tigers,
God.
whether it comes to Tigers or Argentina, right?
Should I be
And
speaking Afrikaans?
yes,
Oh,
you
you naughty
going up to
boy.
Duhan, do you want me to speak in Afrikaans? And Jamie Ritchie,
You.
who we all know is a live wire,
That's
just
why you
standing there
should.
like,
Yeah, yeah. What'd
and
you say to him?
yeah, and Scottish fans are like, oh, like that's brutal,
How rude.
how rude, and yet neutrals like, that's brilliant. So like,
Yeah. I mean, Joe Marler. Joe Marler was one of the biggest like talkers on the pitch. Like, but for me, I
hurry,
think the
hurry
thing
up,
about
you're fucking boring me.
yeah,
Sorry,
like, oh, are you being paid to wear those boots?
yeah, but that could actually get him in hot water now if he did it now.
Marler.
Yeah, no, like if it was now. I mean,
Oh yeah, maybe.
anyway,
But it's this
yeah,
whole thing of like there's a lot of hypocrisy around it, and I'm not just going to say Munster fan, but there's a lot of hypocrisy from personally. I think there's a lot of Irish fans because if you think about some of the former Irish players like Johnny Sexton going up to referees in half time and screaming at them, and
yep.
some of the other things that Leinster and Ireland have done internationally or Leinster, but then also there's people at Munster who have done things, and largely and I'm going to call out Irish media on this as well. When you've got all of this Irish media speaking about how this is an absolute disgrace, this is terrible, it's like, no, 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 no. That is incredibly hypocritical, especially considering the amount of gamesmanship and housery that Ireland have done in the past few years as well. Just because you play pretty, it doesn't mean that you're above it. And, but also, the thing that I think is the most abhorrent about the whole situation is the racial abuse that Jaden Hendrickson has taken online. And I don't know which fan group it's from. It could be some horrible, just individual people, but
Yeah.
he's been racially abused for what he has done. That's unacceptable. Like, if you're talking about rugby values, which are respect, tolerance, community, fair play, all of these things, you've just violated every single one of those by racially abusing somebody for winking after he's gone down with cramp. Be angry at the coaching team. Be angry at the referee for not dealing with the situation properly. Don't be mad at a lad who thought, oh, that's funny.
Yeah. The wink genuinely isn't even the worst thing that happened.
No, it's just the image that everyone has. And I think that he's the least bad problem at the whole thing. Like it's the everything surrounding him. It's the Sharks players on the sideline. It's the coaches who've come on who just don't need to be there, who
No,
then start interfering with Crowley. It's the referee for not getting a grip on it. Like that's
no.
the problem.
Anyway,
And I will put like I love seeing a bit of housery because it's great.
yeah,
As long as
it's
it's not
great.
violent, as long as it's not targeted, and as long as it's not dirty. Housery, I think, is great. I don't think it violates core values of the game to an extent, but it's like when again, I'll use a Joe Marler instance. It's when Marler said something about a player's mum who was ill, and then he nearly had a fight with him because he didn't know that and got a bit of a ban off it. There's housery, but there's a line, and we know
Yeah,
where the line is.
like read the rib sort of thing. But it's
Yeah.
like a moment I thought was shithousery, and it never got mentioned. Was the last time Scotland played New Zealand, and Leonard Brown got yellow carded for tackling off the ball. The minute it happened, Finn Russell's going like this.
Oh yeah, you should be in trouble for doing that. Really, you shouldn't be wagging. I'm a bit of
No, he whacked it at ALB,
oh,
not at the ref.
oh, as
Just
he walked off.
yeah, no, as it before it was even decided he was going off. Like, haha, that's you going off.
Yeah, that for me because I'm a bit of a sometimes I can be a bit of a purist. That for me is a bit like no 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 that's football. No, keep that out.
Nah, see,
No.
I like that. But again, it's kind of like comedy. Everything is interpreted to
Well,
yourself.
Afolabi Fasigbon.
Yeah. Well, it's disrespectful. No, it's not. It's funny.
No, it's not. Alex Gedge loved it. He was like, right, you little bastard, I'm going to get you next game
Yeah.
then.
Anyway, shall we
Sorry,
actually
Alex,
pick
that was
up?
a
No,
terrible
no, you're fine.
impression.
You're all good. That was more Hagrid, though. That was great.
What do you mean?
um, we do have the URC semi-finals.
Oh.
Leinster versus Glasgow Warriors, part three.
See, this is difficult because I think Glasgow have got all of the momentum and confidence in the world, but Leinster's their bogey team, a bit like with Ireland. And I think that because a lot of Scotland is Glasgow and a lot of Ireland is Leinster,
Yeah.
the two translate very, very well to each other.
Fair.
But oh, thing is, for me personally, I'd love to see Glasgow do it again, just because I think they are a great team who deserve to be champions. They are the worthy champions. But I think Leinster have now had a couple of shaky results. They are at home. They are Glasgow's bogey team. And you can just see some of them going, no, 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 no. We really need a trophy. We really need. It's not even we want to win something. We need to win something because we have been underachieving, apart from with Ireland in the Six Nations for so long now. We need to do this.
I don't
But
think they will. I've been adamant,
again, I
but
don't think they will. I
no,
think
I've been adamant all season. They either do a double or they win nothing.
I think I've said the same thing about Toulouse. I said that they'll win both or they'll win none. And I think the same with. I just think, yeah, I really think that Glasgow might do it.
I just think now, effectively, and it's weird saying this as they are the defending champions. Glasgow have nothing to lose. Leinster have already embarrassed them once this year. They've
Yeah,
already beaten them once in the league. So Leinster might be going like, it's only Glasgow. We've smashed them before. We smashed them
yeah, and that's
a
very
month
true.
ago. We smashed them a month ago. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Think
I,
like that,
I
and then watch Hughie Potter run right in the midfield.
yeah, but that's the thing. Glasgow got so many of their injured players coming back, and then they'll be ready. I, it's difficult to call. It is because we've got all the facts and stats about everything, but I do think that okay, bias. I would like Glasgow to win. I think they could win, but I also think that I can't call it. I can't call it. I was about to say, but also Leinster at home. They need a trophy. They've got the bogey team. They are the bogey team of them. I can't call it. You're gonna have to because I don't know. I feel like I can call the other one better.
Glasgow. Bugger it. Why not?
All right, you've said
Because
it.
like you said, they've got players coming back. They've they've had that performance of right. We are champions. We're not just here to fill the void. They've
Beating
had
a
their
former champion as well.
they've had their beatings from Leinster, and
Yeah.
the last game in the league wasn't that far off.
No, it wasn't.
And I think and he always comes in three. So, best of three sort of thing. So, beat them well when it matters most,
I think
effectively.
I think that's one of Leinster's biggest problems that they win games that they should win and then they lose games when they must win. Especially in the past few years, it's always
Good
been the
with it. Yeah,
like
I like that.
if Leinster are like you know what I'll give a comparison to football. They're kind of like Man United back in the day, like in the 90s. Man United were excellent in a league campaign and would usually win stuff, but then when it came to like knockouts in Europe, they were not particularly great because I don't think that they were necessarily adaptable or they had the oh we're the best, we're gonna always do this. So I think that's kind of like with Leinster in the past, like 5, 6 seasons, that domestically they're brilliant and they finish on top of the board. And in many other ways, if our game was not a playoff game, they'd have got about 15 URC titles. But they've ended it as yeah, they're just not particularly great at winning knockout games. Yeah, okay.
If,
You've said Glasgow,
I've
so
kind of got it down to talk is cheap when it comes to Leinster now. They have world class players, not even sprinkled, just right across the board. They have world
yeah,
class players in every position. And it's all very well and good. Oh yeah, but we did this and we've topped the league for the sixth season in a row. Have you won anything?
you've not backed it up when it counts, and that's the problem. That's the
Like
thing that
just for context, as of right now, I know the number will change this weekend, but Edinburgh and Leinster have been in the same amount of semi-finals.
whatever.
No, this season.
Oh,
Right now,
yeah.
before
Oh
before
wow,
we
yeah.
before we start on Saturday, Edinburgh and Leinster have been in the exact same amount of semi-finals this season.
Yeah,
But a team that Leinster decimated in the Champions Cup have two trophies.
I don't like to talk about that game because the refereeing in that game was atrocious,
No, no,
and Leinster were handed
just
a victory personally.
wait, for what?
Yeah, you haven't got
Bath have a European title this year. Leinster don't.
yeah.
Cool,
Bath have
and
two
you beat them,
trophies. Bath
and you
went
beat them.
20
Well done,
years
you.
without a trophy, and they got two
Yeah,
now. But
yeah.
anyway, we're say you're saying Glasgow. I can't really call it,
In
but
Glasgow.
I would like Glasgow to win because I just prefer the team. Really,
I
do
have
it for
too
my
many.
former Harlequin, Hugh Jones.
I have too many friends, like legit friends, like wedding invitation friends who
Yeah, who are Glasgow fans.
are Glasgow, which as an Edinburgh fan is a very weird dynamic, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's what it is. But I mean, I have a Sarries mate who I talk good ruggers with.
I mean, I did get chummy with them before they signed for Glasgow.
Yeah, it's
It's
also
just now
true.
became more of a running joke now that like, why are you there? Where,
just
Edinburgh's
just
just
be a
along the end.
just be a Glasgow fan. You're friends with us
No,
all. Like, no, I bleed orange and blue.
like for those listening, just quickly, sorry, just a side note. This is how like die-hard Edinburgh I am. I had got given tickets by one of the guys I know at Glasgow Warriors to a Glasgow Edinburgh game in the friends and family zone, and I had my Edinburgh top on
Yeah, I
because I was
love
just
it.
like,
I
yeah,
love
no,
it.
I'm not
That's
changing my
brilliant.
allegiance,
That's
not changing my
brilliant.
allegiance, and we lost anyway, so they were
Oh,
all happy.
no. But anyway,
But all South
the
African
the South African derby. My word.
in
In terms
altitude,
of what a neutral fan wants with two teams that despise each other, that
just
hate
yeah,
each other.
yeah.
You've got the Afrikaans like element of Pretoria that they're very like South African, and then you've got like the boys from Durban, which is a much more like sort of mixed population where they are the rainbow nation to an extent and they are coming together and they hate each other. Like, they hate each other. What a semi-final to have. Like, at
At
altitude,
altitude as
as you
well.
said,
Yeah.
like all the Springboks you have there, the physicality, those boys will just be like, right, I'm gearing up. We're just gonna have them. I don't care.
I
We're having
think this
them.
is a,
Like the amount of braais they must be having. Let's put on as much weight as we can so we can just absolutely hammer each other. And you just know that there's gonna be violence in this
there,
game.
there is one thing that is definitely not in Sharks' favour. Is the battle that they had against Munster. They went
No,
over. They
no,
played. They
absolutely
played
no.
over 80 minutes. Well over
Yeah,
80 minutes, might I add. And
100 minutes of rugby. Yeah.
you've got to go to altitude on a week's turnaround. Not ideal. That is not ideal. Where yes, the
It's
rain.
not. It's not too far though. That's the thing. Like sharks are actually quite fortunate that they're only having to maybe fly 2-3 hours. Like
No, I didn't. No, not travel, but I mean, like your body is going to be wrecked.
true, but the fact what I'm saying is, I'm sure that they would definitely rather travel to Falls than travel to Edinburgh. I know they wouldn't have, but like if you put it in that way,
Yeah.
after 100 minutes of rugby, only having to go to another South African team.
Actually, side note. just because of the rivalry that it's became. If it was Edinburgh Sharks again, that would have been.
Oh, it would have been tasty. Yeah, it would have been tasty. But I mean, it's hard to call because Sharks have done the double over Bulls this year. Sharks have beaten Bulls home and away.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, if you want a team in a knockout competition, you want the Sharks. Like those boys know how to win stuff, and they've
So
won stuff. They've won stuff globally as well. I think a
yeah,
lot of them.
there is so the league's also put out today. There is three venues for the final.
Okay,
So if Leinster win, it's at Croke Park.
which is a great place for a final in a lot of
Bulls
ways.
or Sharks doesn't matter. It's at Croke Park. Glasgow win. Glasgow must travel to South Africa.
Slightly unfair, but okay.
It's seeding. It's how it's done. It's all done.
I hate that system so much. It should be the final is held in a neutral venue, and but yeah, anyway, I
Yeah,
digress.
sure. Anyway, and so it will be at Loftus or it will be at Hollywood Bet Stadium in Durban.
See, the problem with Durban is if you're in a final, it's so humid there, and then you've got to deal with the altitude at
The Glasgow already did that.
Loftus.
Just saying.
True,
They
yeah,
went,
that's very
they
true.
went did that last year.
I was about, and then if they go, well, they can't go to Croke Park, but you just have to deal with don't know. Sharks Bulls. I mean, the
80,000
matchups like Jan Hendrik Vessels on
Bonga,
Vincent
but
Koch
that'll
or Bongya Manambi and Akavan Demerva, Vilcolo, Oxenche, or I mean
Kane and Moody versus
Nchuku, Moody against
Pimpy.
Pimpy, the Hendrickson brothers against. Oh my God, it's just Andre
I thought
Esterhazen.
I thought it was
Um,
Saturday versus Philly LaRue. Who's rolled back the years,
oh,
Mike? I forgot to mention that. Talking about the Bills Edinburgh. Billy LaRue looked like he de-aged by about 10 years in that game.
he's trying to get the 100 Springbok caps because Rassi has said that he wants to give it to him, but also he's got to earn them. And you're like, bro, he's got like 97. He's earned them. Just bloody play him. Just
Wait,
get.
who they got in the summer? Italy. There's one.
Oh yeah, there's one, and then Barbarians. That's not a
That's not,
cat.
that's not cap.
And then rugby.
Georgia. I think Georgia's going over. There's two.
Oh, scrum battle there. Oh, South African and Georgian scrummaging. Oh, the front
Funny.
rows will love us right now. We've gone to
We
scrums
technically
like
forget.
twice.
We love the front row this episode. Don't know how. It's very
I
out of
know.
our comfort zone, but there we
Well,
go.
I mean, I am a former hooker. I did play a
I,
hooker as
I
a
mean,
child.
I'll say I am a former prop. I cannot scrum for shit.
Oh, well, I mean, you wouldn't know looking at me, but during age group rugby, I played loose head, tight head, hooker, back row, winger.
Well, I was predominantly a fullback or a centre, and then when I came back to rugby after having 6 years off, I got chucked into the forwards. And when I say chucked, I mean chucked. I
You mean yeeted?
I, I was everywhere. I played second row, despite I'm only being 6'1". That's not tall enough to be a second row.
No, I played second row when I was a kid, and I was about
I
5 foot
played
6.
I played tight head, can't hold the weight, collapsed every scrum. Played loose head and got lifted in the scrum.
See, I never had that, but I also played. It was age grade rugby that I was playing. I was mainly a hooker.
No, I
I,
played
I
man
was.
rugby.
I
Man
did not.
rugby.
I did
And
not
then,
play man rugby. I stopped at 16. But yeah, I mean, from the age of about 7 to about 16, I was
you
mainly
know,
playing hooker, flanker, winger. Basically, I was
props that,
dynamic and got around the pitch.
people that have played grassroots for their club for like 30 years as a prop. And here's me, done it once in a training session. Okay, you're starting prop. Great. Awesome.
Why?
Why? Yeah.
At least play me hooker so I don't have to
I
scrum
even
as
said that.
much.
I was just kind of like, why? Like, because that's where we think you'd be best. I was like, it's not though, is it?
It's
But
just
hey ho.
yeah.
Anyway,
But anyway, Sharks balls. I'm gonna say it. I think the Sharks do it. I really think that they'll do it. I don't think they'll care about the altitude. I don't
They
think
won't. They
they'll.
definitely will not. If any team could not care less about altitude, it's another South African team.
Yeah, they're like, you deal with altitude, we deal with humidity. Screw you.
Too hot, oh, the air's too thin, piss off. Yeah.
Yeah, don't care. Give me my meat, give me my brandy and coke, and let's scrub.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what?
Sorry, South Africans, if that is a negative stereotype.
It's not though. I've texted them. That's all they do.
No, don't read. Oh dear. Oh well. Okay.
All I'm going to say is for my prediction for the URC final, run it back.
Right. Ooh.
Run it back. Bulls, Glasgow, Loftus, part two, and the same outcome happens again. But we'll leave it at that.
I'm
We'll
I'm
leave that
I'm
bombshell.
I'm gonna say I think that. Oh, okay. Right. What am I gonna say? I think that the Glasgow are running back to South Africa, but they are going a bit more south,
They're a bit more sea level. That's fine.
a bit more sea level, a bit hotter.
Think of
I
it
think
like
they
the
are
Clyde.
going to some waters
Just
potentially
think.
that might be
Just
infested.
yeah, I like that. Just think of it like the Clyde on a hot day. I know it's not the same, but there we go.
Anyway, yeah,
um,
my
yeah.
prediction is a Sharks Glasgow final.
Okay. I have Glasgow Bulls. But hey, we'll be back next week. We'll have the semi-finals of the Premiership, which we talked about today. We'll have the outcome of the URC semi-finals. We'll be looking into the final and probably into the a bit of the Lions as well because it is so close to Lions season now.
We
We cannot
might
win.
we might even see some more guys get called up. Those two final spaces might be filled.
Oh yeah, that's driving me insane. He hasn't even teased who it could be. Oh yeah,
No.
there's two spaces. Is there? Why?
Who's it for?
Also, why not just call them up? Why not just make it a 40-man squad when you did the announcement? Why say after it? Oh yeah, there's two more spaces.
I think it's like they've got I what I will guess is they've probably got about 10 players that they would like that they are really thinking we could bring them, we could bring them, we could bring them. And of the 10, they get to see how they respond to a challenge, how they react to a lot of stuff, and you can then think, right, let's see how they do. Okay, immediately four of you are gone. There's six of you left. Okay, there's two of you left. I mean, yes, the theory was, oh, it's because his son, it's for his son, blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, but I don't think anyone could justify bringing Owen Farrell this year because he's had a terrible season, and I
Yeah,
don't think all the credit in the world can justify you getting called up because it's a terrible season. But that's besides the point. But
but
yeah,
yeah.
Lions coming up.
Well, semi-final rugby next week for the well, talk about the episode and final reviews, previews as well. So lots of
Oof.
coming, lots of stuff coming. Potential interviews. We'll try and get that up and running again.
There's a few in the pipeline, or there's a few potentials in the pipeline going into next season.
One has said yeah, but it's like during the summer.
Yeah, which is still good.
It's still good. It's still good news. It's just why not now? You know, because honestly, they're not doing anything right now.
Well, they are currently moving, shall we say? They're trying to.
That doesn't count. Doesn't count, bro. It doesn't. It's not even like they're moving right around the world. It's not like they're coming from Super Rugby
No,
to the URC. They're going from Prem to Wales. There you go. I've already given you a little teaser. Have a look at that.
oh,
Oh. But yeah, we'll be
we
back
won't
next week.
reveal anything else.
I've
Player
said
that is will not be named.
I've said too much. No,
I
we'll be
should
back
not
next
have
week.
said that. I should not have said that.
In the meantime, hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, follow myself and Harry on Instagram, follow myself on TikTok if you're really into that thing. I'll say follow Harry on TikTok, but he don't do it.
He has other content on TikTok. It's mainly just stuff that comes to his head.
There we go. For just impulsive
Just for shits and gigs, you could just
shit and
follow
gigs.
me and
There
see
we
some
go.
silly skits.
And if you don't want to watch the full episode, just hit the follow button on TikTok, as we'll make clips and put them out there as well. So yeah.
And comment. We love to see everyone else's
Yeah,
perspectives.
had a lot of interaction in the last few clips, so keep that coming. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
we're loving it.
And until next week, have a good one. Enjoy semi-final rugby, and we'll be back to talk about all the heartache and heroics. Until then, have a good one. Peace.